Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Hello, internets. Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. Welcome to the crew of geeks. I am Jose.
This is Wolfie.
AJ.
Eli.
And this is Walt.
Indeed. And here we are today. We have a lovely episode for you, but first, our normal disclaimers. We are recording remotely, so if there are any sound issues or artifacts, please let us know. Give us any feedback that you possibly can. You can reach out to us at Instagram and Twitter at Get Geek Podcast. And of course, the best way to support your favorite podcast is to like, rate, share, and subscribe to your favorite podcast. You can find us where all your favorite podcasts are sold. So please, reach out to us. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Give us feedback on episodes, future episodes, whatever y'all want. Anything that you want to do in terms of interacting with us is appreciated. We always love to talk to our fans. So please like, rate, share, and subscribe if you enjoy what you hear. Wolfie, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be getting into today?
So we are back to our Geek Outs. Today we're going to bring to you guys another Geek Out. And for those of you guys that are new to the podcast, thank you and welcome for joining. But a Geek Out is basically what we just do, what we normally do. The whole reason that we all kind of got together and started this podcast was because we geek out, sometimes over pizza. Well, that hasn't happened in a while. But it's kind of like what we do, and I'm sure what you guys do out there in the digital world and elsewhere. You get together with your crew, you start geeking out over stuff, and that's pretty much it. We'll go around the table. We each kind of take turns talking about like what we're geeking out over the week, past month, whatever it is. However long time it's been since we've geeked out over stuff. And we just kind of share in the wealth of nerd. So, Jose, what are you geeking out over?
I remember a little bit of the origin of the podcast as well as an argument about whether or not The Last Jedi stunk in the middle of a burger spot. That's the kind of
Actually,
vibe.
Can we get a little bit of a history lesson?
That's
Walt and Jose. Can you guys give us a little history lesson on how like the podcast actually kind of started?
I mean, that's essentially it, man. We were what restaurant were we in?
Yeah,
we were after it was after a con, right? We went to a con.
Yeah,
Heroes
we
and
went
Villains?
to the Heroes and Villains Comic-Con. It's a little
Fan Fest
convention
in
out in
Jersey,
Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fan Fest in Jersey, at the Meadowlands Complex. And it was all of us, Jose, our former castmate from Pop Culture Over Pizza,
Mr. Haffa
was there.
as well.
Haffa was there also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were in the Red Robins, weren't we?
Yes, that's what it was.
Robin.
I was trying to remember what burger joint that I used to like sing karaoke songs in when I was like 9 or 10 with my grade school friends. It was, and it was Red Robin.
We were bugging out over Last Jedi. I think we were debating the merits of whether Last Jedi was it was just a debate about Last Jedi. That's all it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we went through everything then. We had a lot of people just listening into our conversation. I think somebody mentioned, he was like, we should start a podcast on this. And that's pretty much the genesis of it,
Yeah, somebody decided it would be a good idea to give it a shot. And I had done a podcast with a few friends a few years ago called Self-Destruct Cast. That was not very popular, but it was fun. It was cool to debate.
Did it self-destruct?
It self-destructed. It self-destructed, and it was ushered towards its destruction. But that's a whole other story. And yeah, like we just got that idea in the Red Robin. We were talking a bunch of crap about The Last Jedi. I mean, we liked it, but you know how that debate was, and from there, Pop Culture Over Pizza was born. And then we moved
that
on
it
to
wasn't
Get
Pop
Geek.
Culture Over Burgers.
Yeah.
Considering.
Nah.
I don't really know where we came up with that. And most of the time, we would eat the pizza before the podcast and not during. But
I think that
that's
was a
neither here
good
nor there.
idea. I don't think our listeners would want to hear us chewing while we're talking and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's probably the reason why.
I don't know. Some of the best arguments are like, Last Jedi.
I think it would be better if we had video. If we had video while we were eating
Yes.
pizza and screaming at each other, then I think
yeah.
then some people would enjoy the
Throw
incoherence
a
a little bit.
mozzarella stick
We
to
could
AJ.
have gotten away with that. You know what I'm saying?
Badly.com.
We could subtitle it or something. I don't know. People could lip sync what we're trying to say in our
We could
rants and
have
screams.
Eli chuck a meatball at AJ and stuff on
You get the
video.
meatball.
They wouldn't be
Meatballs
chugging.
from
They wouldn't
Ikea.
even be eating. They would just be playing DBZ.
DBZ Legends.
That's true. You know. So yeah, so that's how this podcast kind of came around. We started out as pop culture over pizza, and I think we decided at that point that pop culture over pizza kind of did its thing, and we moved on to Get Geek and stuff. I think which
Yeah.
was a little bit more of a better brand name for us because that's what we do. We get geeky about stuff. So
We also
know.
eat pizza, but not all the
geeky with
time. So
right, exactly.
I think pop culture or pizza hit cultural mass, and we had to move on. It was just too popular.
Speaking of
Anyways,
get geeky with it,
yes.
they can start getting geeky with it right
Yes, absolutely. Let's get to the gist and to the point of what we're
now.
on today,
Working
and
on my segues.
talk about working on my seg. You feeling your plums?
Hey now.
That's the line that always gets me from one of our early
Ready to
podcasts.
take it to farmer's market.
So the geek outs that I'm geeking out about this week. Let's start with an Apple TV show, a nice little Apple TV show. Let's get some positivity into the podcast today. It's the most relentlessly positive TV show I may have ever seen in my life, but it's really funny and it's really good and it's won some awards. I'm talking about Ted Lasso on Apple TV. And so it's a little show with Jason Sudeikis. That's produced and released on Apple TV Plus, I guess is the name of the service, right? And so it's a fish out of water story, basically. It's Jason Sudeikis plays the aforementioned Ted Lasso, and he's a college football coach who's famous for like turning around underperforming college programs, right? And his approach is really, he's a good coach, but he's more of a psychological guy. That's where the relentlessly positive stuff comes in. We'll get to that in a minute. So he's a football coach, and he gets invited to England to coach a soccer team. Okay, so already we're like, wait, what? Why does that? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But he gets invited to England to coach a soccer team, and basically, the whole story is him trying to basically get the team to improve. Obviously, that's always the story of any sports TV show, right? And so, like I said, the show it starts off so saccharine and positive that like it's kind of like meeting one of those people who's like so positive that it kind of creeps you out a little bit at first. It's like, I don't know if this is real or not. You might just be doing this to like get on my good graces. And yeah, so basically, like it stars Jason Sudeikis. It stars Hannah Waddingham as the owner of the team, AFC Richmond. Jeremy Swift as one of the directors of football operations. Phil Dunster as like the team's soccer star. Brett Goldstein, who was in another great show that I saw a few years back called Off the Record, which is a mockumentary with David Hasselhoff. You guys should check that out too. It's funny as heck. But Roy Kent, he plays Roy Kent, an aging soccer player. Brendan Hunt as Coach Beard, who is his second coach in command. Nick Muhammad as Nathan, who's like the assistant coach, and Juno Temple as Keely Jones, who's like one of the players' girlfriends / does some work for the team in like marketing and things like that. But anyways, so just to get to the point of it, like I said, it's a really relentlessly positive show because Ted Lasso's whole philosophy is just to like always be positive about stuff. You know what I mean? Like some of the players are like really aggressive and angry or like have really big egos, and most of what he does is like telling corny jokes and bringing the owner like little pastries in the morning. And it's just I don't want to give it away. It's definitely worth watching if you want to just smile at a show. It's definitely a show to watch. And another thing that kind of makes it really interesting, I think, that kind of adds to the saccharine sweetness of the show is that in the show, Ted Lasso's character is going through a divorce. All right. And as with everything else, his character finds a relentlessly positive way to deal with even divorce. And so the story that I've read is that in real life, Jason Sudeikis is actually going through a divorce with his real life wife, Olivia Wilde. So it's semi-autobiographical. And also the saccharine sweet part continues to seep in because it was partially her idea to create this character. And she told Jason Sudeikis, like, you got to do this show. This is going to be your show that people are going to kind of remember you for. And he's won awards for it. So it's a really great show. Check it out on Apple TV Plus if you want to watch something that's really funny and it'll just make you smile, because it's just relentlessly funny. And it has some cliches to it, but like it definitely it definitely doesn't exactly do what you would expect it to do. So let's get to something else, right? Let's get to some other geek outs. I actually played some shooters with Eli a couple of weeks ago on our live stream. We did some Call of Duty Warzone. You been on that at all recently? You've been playing any Warzone, any other shooters, or any? Probably no Fortnite, really. Right? You don't play that anymore.
No, I don't play that anymore. Yeah,
but
I really haven't played it.
You sure you don't play any Fortnite?
I'm sure. I'm very
I
sure.
can attest to it.
What about?
You can attest to it. You can attest to it.
Okay, you can attest to that.
Fortnite
What about
sucks.
you, Wolfie? Have you been shooting at your television screen,
Just,
watching Black Ops 4 update?
No, actually, I've been playing Black Ops 4, and it's been quite a delight, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I've fallen back in love with a little bit of Call of Duty.
I have,
but yeah,
like this is a semi-generalized geek out because I've kind of fallen back in love with shooters. Definitely was a huge fan of first-person shooters and third-person shooters all throughout the early 2000s and early aughts, 2010s and all that. But I kind of fell off gaming for a few years until we got to the pandemic last year. I mean, what about you guys? Did you guys start gaming more last year when the pandemic hit? Because I definitely like returned to gaming in a big way. I don't know.
Actually, not really.
No.
It's been on and off, really.
Yeah. I know recently we
did some streams, right?
Well, I think pandemic has caused, especially in this household, us to be a little bit more busy because everything that we do in terms of school and work is online, and it's relentless with the amount of work that we've been getting, both school and work wise. So, it's a very different reality for us when it comes to pandemic and how much time we have here.
I got to drag you guys back into some shooters a little bit, man, because I'm itching to jump into some games with you all. I'm rediscovering my tactical skills in Battlefield and Call of Duty Warzone. I carried the team last week. I got 7 kills in Warzone and we won, and I got the last kill. I've been totally killing it in Battlefield.
Warzone is not easy.
I got some clips I'm going to put up on our Get Geek Gaming channel from Battlefield 1 that I was playing yesterday. I got a 5-kill flank where I like charged a guy with a bayonet in Battlefield 1, shot 3 other guys with a single shot rifle, and then killed a guy with a pistol before anybody realized I was 10 feet away from them to their right. So I got some fun clips where I'm basically getting back into shooters again, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Warzone. I'll get Black Ops 4 and we'll jump on it, Wolfie, if you want, because I've been having a good time getting real tactical with my friends, getting in those 4-man teams, putting on the headsets and just counter sniping the heck out of people, quick scoping. Like some of these clips will basically describe it better than I can in any geek out, and I'm just going to keep it short. But I've been getting back into my shooters again, and I'm real excited to be getting some of my skills back that I used to have, where I used to be a real darn good sniper and a real darn good teammate. But when I stopped playing, all my skills disappeared. So the return of my Battlefield skills. Let's talk about another game that I'm playing right now real quick. Have you guys been playing any fun open world games or anything else recently?
Well, not too long ago, I was doing GTA 5, and you all remember what that was like.
You're usually murdering the heck out of people in that one. So
stealing military hardware and stuff.
my open world piece of fun is I've been playing No Man's Sky. Have you guys played that at all, or anything similar to it?
I have not checked it out at all. No,
I've played it.
What did you think of it?
I've been stuck on a planet for a while now because I don't have the resources to get off.
You don't?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Not the first planet, right? You got
No.
planet?
I'm further into the game, but I've gotten, like I said, I've gotten stuck in a place. And No Man's Sky is an interesting game because it's, like you said, it's very open world, but you can do whatever the heck you want. There's really no story, in the sense that drives the thing forward. But you need resources. This is, to get your ship up and running, to get to places, you need resources.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm stuck on a planet where I can't find a specific resource to get my engine going. So that's kind of why I've fallen off playing it, because I can't get off this freaking planet.
I've been playing it, and
what is No? Because I've only heard of it.
Yeah.
I actually haven't even seen video or anything of it. Like, what is it exactly?
so it's on Game Pass, so you could try it real cheap and easy.
Oh, yeah?
It's only like 50. It's like 10 gigs, so it's a small game too. It's 12
Which
gigs.
is surprising, right?
Everybody knows I have Call of Duty trauma, so
Well, no, if you you have 150 gig nightmares because of Call of Duty. But the reason this game is so small, let's give it a little bit of background. This is actually what makes it kind of interesting. So No Man's Sky is a game where basically you are a space explorer. You start the game stranded on a planet, and you have to fix your spaceship and explore other planets and explore other galaxies and explore other universes.
Awesome.
And it's all procedurally generated. Nothing is pre-rendered. Nothing is created beforehand. Every planet, every plant, every animal, everything you see in the game is completely generated at random, which actually makes the game really unique in that, if I remember correctly, if every player that's playing the game online right now searched for like 100 years, they'd never find every planet in the game. So that's pretty cool. Like, it's all exploration.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Every planet you find is basically one you discover that nobody's ever been to before, so you can name it. You can name everything on it, right? And yeah, like Walt said, it's kind of a resource management game. It reminds me of this other game called Out There that I played on my phone. You have to find iron and ferrite and hydrogen to power your ship, to power your exosuit, like your life support, and to power your various like mining tools. So that's basically the game. And like I said, my girlfriend's been playing it more than I am. It's a fun game. You can play it multiplayer. It's an MMO basically, so people can like go to your planet after you've discovered it. In fact, a lot of times when you're playing, you'll be running around collecting resources. You'll see some ships flying overhead. You can wave to them. You can gesture to them. Nobody's ever started working with me yet, but people can help you out in this game, or they can hinder you. But it's a fun game so far.
Haven't they created like federations in the game? Like certain players, they've created like these huge clans of federations where you have thousands of players that are part of this thing and stuff.
Yeah, it's very much a game where you can kind of create your own adventure, which is really great. It reminds me, one of the good examples is there's another game that I play that's similar called Elite Dangerous. I play that more on PC and PlayStation 4. I haven't seen this in No Man's Sky because I haven't read about it as much, but I imagine something similar exists. In that game, there's a whole like clan called, I think, the Fuel Jumpers. Their entire purpose is to find ships that run out of fuel in the middle of space and rescue them. That's the entire purpose of a whole clan in this game. I'm sure No Man's Sky has something similar, I would imagine.
I'm pretty sure, Tom.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. It's definitely worth checking out. Yeah, and it's free on Game Pass, and it's a small download, so you won't look at it and have a spaz out from like how many gigabytes you have to download. So
I want to go in there and
check
be
it
a
out.
space pirate.
Check it out. Yeah, you can be a space pirate, you can be a space alien, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you can do whatever the heck you want. I will say this. It's very much space exploration. It does take you a while to get to different planets. Don't expect to be jumping into a planet and then and the great thing about it is that the graphics enable you to actually leave the planet, leave the atmosphere, and go into space. There's
no load
times, nice transition. There's no load times or whatever. It's not like you're on a planet 1 second and then you're in space. You actually have to transition
seamless
out of the atmosphere into space. and then from there, if you're going to another planet, sometimes it takes like what, 5 minutes if
Yeah,
if
it
you're
could,
if
depending
you're
on
going without.
hyperspace, depending on what speed
Yeah.
you're going at. Like, there's different speeds. You know, there's like sublight speed, there's like planetary speed, there's like there's light speed, and there's like hyperspace, which I haven't even got yet.
No,
There's like
like
hyperdrive.
I'm looking up at images and stuff, and I definitely seen it, but I've only seen some images. I haven't seen any gameplay, but it does look pretty cool.
This is actually a very, very quick example, and then I'm going to move on to like my other geek out so we can let some other people talk. But this is a good example of a game that started as a live service and launched a mess. This game was a mess when it launched, but it was so well supported by the company. They really, really like decided to dedicate themselves to improving it, and now it's held up as an example how you take a game that was real crappy at launch and turn it into something special and amazing. So that's another thing to definitely check out, you know?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly. If CD Projekt Red puts the same level of commitment, then we'll see an amazing Cyberpunk in a year.
It seems like it. I mean, the latest patch apparently is like really, really fixes a bunch of bugs, and they're not done. So
yeah, it seems like they're committing to it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get something
with
great
the amount
there.
of money.
They better. They made a lot. They made more money than ever. So let me jump on my last couple of geek outs here. I'll switch gears and make this. It's not even a geek out. It's a wish. This week was my birthday, and I was searching and searching, you know, kind of foolhardily for the Xbox Series X, and I'm getting some really, really exaggerated birthday celebrations over here. I love it. I love it. I was looking for the Xbox Series X on Target. I didn't get it. It was. I just want to mention that I had it in my cart, and I had an extra controller in my cart, and I was spamming the checkout button, and then it said, "You checked out," and I started to celebrate with my hands in the air, and I realized it took the system out of my cart and checked out the controller. So that's the experience that I've had so far. Although for our fans out there, it does seem that the restocks are coming back. There is some news, not with PlayStation 5, but with Xbox Series X, that we're going to actually start to see these shortages simmer down. So hopefully I'll get me an Xbox Series X soon, because I really want to jump on the new generation there. I have an original Xbox One, not 4K at all. So let me finish up with my last geek out. And this one is something that I've been waiting a long time to actually jump in and read. And now that I'm really basically caught up on the anime, I decided to go back. I got myself a Comixology account, and I am reading the Attack on Titan manga from scratch, from the beginning, from issue 1. I'm going to try to get all the way over to issue 139. I'm on issue 2 right now. And I will say that it's really interesting. I know, Wolfie, you watched the show, and you and I are fans of the anime. What you'll find when you check it out is that it's really interesting. The artwork and the storytelling is really rough at first. This is basically his first big manga, Hajime Isayama. So
and he hit it big. He basically hit the lotto.
He basically hit it big with not so great art, and like it's really interesting. Yeah. I can't say much about it, but I want to talk to you about it eventually when we get to have like a little bit more of a retrospective on AOT, when more of the crew has seen it, maybe, because we had our episode that was pretty well received a couple of months back, you and I. But there's some interesting differences, obviously, between the manga and the anime so far, and a good story behind it when everybody gets around to it, or if Wolfie, if you decide to jump on the manga. Is that actually Isayama looked at the anime when it was in production, and he decided to change a lot of things for the anime in order to like make it a little more coherent now that he's, I guess, gotten more chops as a writer, you know, because again, it's really rough when it starts. Obviously it's really great. I can't wait to get much further into it, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about some of the differences that I've seen in the manga and some of the cooler things and some of the things that I didn't like. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm geeking out over a bunch of things this week. It's good to get back to geeking out about just about everything. So yeah, let's pass it right along. Are we jumping on? I think Eli, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go next. I actually only have one geek out, but technically it's a big geek out. But basically,
big enough to be one geek out.
Yeah, big enough to be one geek out.
Better than all 5 things that I just geeked out about. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. So basically, I started watching this show called Dark. I'm pretty sure AJ and Walt have been watching it too.
Well,
And
we've been watching it together.
yeah, we've been
Mhm.
watching it together. Right?
Pretty sure that's yeah.
Pretty sure they've been in the room with me.
Yeah. What platform is it on, E?
It's
So
on
that
Netflix.
our audience knows
Yeah.
where to find it.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a German show.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it's a
is.
German. I guess science fiction thriller.
Science
Sorta.
fiction, definitely.
And it's very timey-wimey, I guess you could say that. Season 1 and season 2, that's what we watched. I'm pretty sure we're near the end, or we finished season 2, right?
Yes.
We're now starting the final season, season 3.
Yeah, and there's just a lot to say, right?
Oh yeah.
And I have something really big that I'm starting to hate about this, and I'm pretty sure AJ and Walt have different opinions on that, but whatever. So I guess I should get into spoiler territory, right? There's no other way to avoid it.
Try and be
Do
as less spoilery as possible, but
Do
it's very difficult to
Do it.
discuss the show without spoiling it because it's difficult to follow also, right?
Yeah, it's very
Yes,
very
yes,
complicated
do it.
on
Do
everything.
it.
So I guess
Spoil the show.
Given.
Give in to the dark side. Spoil it.
So okay.
Start at
So,
the beginning.
At the beginning,
The
at the
beginning
very
is
beginning,
the end.
right?
The end is the beginning.
They start off with
Wait, what?
That's the mantra of the show, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
beginning
the
is
beginning is
the
the
end,
end, and
the
the
end
end
is
is
the
the
beginning.
beginning, right? So at the very beginning of the show, you have, I think you have these are the characters that we're introduced to. You have Katarina, Ulrich, and Mikkel, and Magnus. That's one family. I believe that's
Don't
the
forget
Nielsen's family.
Martha.
Oh yeah, Martha isn't part of that family.
Yes, she is.
God,
She
Martha.
is?
Are you kidding me?
I thought she was oh my
No,
God.
she's part of the family.
Okay, so Ulrich, Katarina, Magnus, Mikkel, and Martha. Those are the Nielsen's, right? You also have Hannah, and Jonas,
And formerly Michael.
and
Conwall.
Michael, who, well, yeah, those are that's the family. Michael, Hannah, and Jonas. They're the Conwalds. I'm pretty sure they introduced the Tidemans, right? So
They did.
Regina Tiedemann, Alexander Tiedemann, right?
Yes.
And
That's it.
Bartosz.
no,
Oh,
Bartosz,
Bartosz, yes.
Bartosz Tiedemann, right? And those are the Tiedemans.
hmm
And Charlotte,
Charlotte. What's her last name? I don't know. her
I
last
don't
name.
even know her last
It's
name.
Charlotte.
It's
Peter.
Doppler.
Oh yes, Charlotte and Peter Doppler.
Charlotte Doppler, Peter Doppler.
Very
and-
German names.
Yeah, it's
Well,
it's a
it's a-
German show.
Yeah, it's a German show. In German, the German language, and dubbed over in English.
Yeah.
So
Set in the town of Winden, which I'm sure is an actual town in Germany.
yeah.
I'm pretty. Yeah.
So I'm gonna help you out with a quick synopsis of the show, and
Mhm.
again, it's a very difficult show to explain.
Yeah, because it's very
because
complicated.
It by the time you're into the third or fourth episode, you're completely lost if you're not paying attention. You need to really sit down and watch this. But the show starts with the disappearance of a child.
Yeah.
And it starts with that investigation, and it gets down into sci-fi stuff, which Eli is now going to explain as best he can.
Is
I'm
it?
sorry if I messed this
I'm
up.
already intrigued.
I'll be there to
super
check
intrigued
you.
Just through,
Yeah, you-
through Eli's explanation so far.
It's
in.
a very well-received show, right, E?
Yeah, it's very. I think it was on the third season. It was rated 100%.
Both season
Season
2
1,
and season
2,
3
2 and 3.
were 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The first season was 79%, but it built definitely into
Yeah.
a spectacular show.
So
It's like
basically,
Banshee.
yeah, a
Yep,
little bit. Yeah, but
Try and explain it, please.
okay, right? I think it was in 29. This is 2019 or 2017, should I say?
No,
2019.
2019 is
right?
where you start out with.
Right? And basically, what happens is a kid goes missing, and people are going crazy over it. And there's been rumors going on around how
This has happened before.
this has happened before in 1986, right? 33 years before.
Important number to remember.
Definitely. And Jonas and the rest, Jonas and the gang, which is Jonas, Bartosz, Martha, Magnus,
and Francisca every now and again.
Francisca, which is part of the Tiedemanns.
No, Doppler.
Part of the Dopplers, right?
Yeah.
So they're the gang. Basically, they go to school together and all that, right?
Very Stranger Things type.
Very
right?
Stranger Things, definitely. And basically they, I guess. Oh wait, and Mikkel, which is very important, right?
Yes.
So they have Winden is a very small town. Everybody knows each other there. They have a nuclear plant there, but everybody knows each other there is a very very much an understatement. But they all know each other, and I think that the kid who went missing, he left behind, I think, like his whole stash of coke or something.
Yeah. So tell the audience where this phenomenon occurs, because that's the most important part of the show. The cave.
The cave, right?
I'm confused.
And that's where he hid his stash, right? Tell me if you have no idea what's going on, because I'm having
I
trouble
don't, but it's
explaining it myself.
totally okay because every single piece of information is still like I still want it. Like, there's coke involved. What?
Well, it's actually weed, but
Oh, weed.
Yes, it's weird.
Either coke or weed or
Well,
whatever.
drugs.
Drugs.
There's drugs
right?
involved with kids.
So-
German drug use.
So
I'm basically gonna explain the first episode. German drug use. Right?
Yeah.
They go to get the stash
At the cave.
at the cave, and then some loud noise comes from the cave,
Mhm.
and then they start running, and then Jonas, who is left with Mikkel. Mikkel is an annoying little kid, right? Magnus's brother and Martha's brother. Right?
Mhm.
And he's also a very Houdini-like person because he likes
He likes magic.
he likes magic and stuff. And they're running. They all get split up, and Mikkel disappears. And that's the end of the first episode.
So now we have 2 kids missing.
Yeah, 2 kids missing. And then
Mhm.
later on in the show, I think it was who else was it? It wasn't Jonas next, right? Which that's spoilers.
No, it was Jonas.
It
next.
was Jonas next.
No, there was one more before him, I think.
All right. It really
It
doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter.
People
right?
people disappear from this place all the time, but there's a very specific reason why they disappear.
Yeah.
Eli.
So everybody's just wondering why this has happened. They know they've been through this since it was 33 years before, so they know about the disappearances earlier, right? And everybody's freaking out about this, and they want to discover, especially some kids like Jonas, and then you have the father Ulrich, who's absolutely going crazy about this too.
Because he lost his son.
A
Sounds
kid
like-
gets discovered. They think it's Mikkel. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikkel, right?
They think it's Mikkel.
They think it's Mikkel, and then they find it's a dead body, and apparently it's Ulrich's brother from 1986, who was presumed missing.
But remember, how is the body? What does the body look like?
He has like a blindfold, and he's like
No.
completely.
It's not a blindfold. His
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
are burnt.
Dude,
His
he got
eyes are burnt
smoked.
out. I keep forgetting about that. I get mixed up, right?
You got smoke,
This
bro.
kid is absolutely. His eyes are burnt out, and they find out that it's not Mikkel, and it's obviously Mads, Ulrich's brother.
Not Mad
You guys
Dickinson.
following
Yeah,
me
so-
here?
It's funny because there's a Mads, there's a Mikkel, and there's a Nielsen. Mads Mikkelsen. So
oh snap!
it's
Mads
very
Mikkelsen.
weird, but
He'll probably show
yeah,
up.
it's very weird.
Well, the show's over
And-
now, isn't it? I believe.
Yes, it
It
Yeah.
is.
says it's
Okay.
3 seasons.
Yes.
And so later on, Jonas goes and he finds out something that he's not supposed to. There's actually a time traveling corridor, I guess you could say. Or no, not a corridor.
Really?
A little
Like a
tunnel in
portal?
the cave. Yeah, it's like a cave
It's like a portal?
tunnel.
This
Yeah.
is like
Yeah, it's there's actual door that once you turn in and go in, it leads you into that corridor and you have a two-way. It brings you to a fork in the cave.
Yeah.
You can either crawl right or crawl left, and that's
Which one goes to
significant
the-
because
Dude,
which one
this
goes to the
sounds
upside
It can
down?
either-
crazy.
Yeah. It can either send you
Oh,
like
it's kinda like the
33
upside down.
years
Mm.
in the past.
or 33 years in the future.
So it's like
Really?
Stranger
Oh, yeah.
Things.
It's so funny because the number 33 is a very prominent number in esoteric and conspiracy world culture.
Mhm.
They probably knew that when they were writing the show. Then I would imagine.
Very much so.
So,
Yeah, everything is very
Interesting. I'm all
eerie.
in.
so what are the
I'm
eras
in.
that we eventually find ourselves in? We find ourselves in 2019,
2019, 1986,
51, no 50,
to 53.
Has to be
53,
And then
yes.
you have
Doing the math.
2052, which is introduced in season 2
yes.
or at the end of season 1.
I am all in.
And
That's
don't
it.
forget
in.
1920.
Oh, and
My girl's,
1920.
Oh yes.
So
We've been
You
looking for
guys
some
can
good
already
sci-fi to
see-
watch.
Oh my
since-
gosh, but
since
listen,
The Expanse isn't on
Got it.
right now and all that.
Bro.
you gotta sit down for this show, right?
you
Because
really gotta
if
watch
you
this.
miss 1 second,
You're gonna be completely confused for the rest of the show.
and one thing that AJ did was the lineology because
Oh shoot! Okay.
things get crazy.
Yeah. I don't want. Should I say it?
No,
No.
Probably not.
just know that
Less
For-
spoilers because I'm super interested now.
Okay.
just know that if you ever find yourself confused, look up on Google Images this one thing. You will find multiple versions of it.
Let's put it this way: this show puts Ancestry.com to shame.
Yes.
That's
Definitely.
all I'm going to say.
Damn.
Eli, continue.
Yeah. Right. And
Eli's got us all excited for this show, really. I mean, just hearing him talk makes me want to rewatch season 1 and 2 again.
yeah, it's a really
Yeah, I'm
really good
super
show,
intrigued.
but it's very complicated, right?
It's very confusing.
Not if you can follow it.
And it plays with time
I love
rules
shows like that.
in a very, very interesting way.
I like a lot of
I
details
bel-
in shows.
Like, wasn't there a point where we saw 3 versions of the character on the
yeah.
screen at the same time?
Technically, we
Different-
saw. Wait.
Different ages.
Wasn't it that guy that different ages all interacting with themselves at the same time?
Let's just put it this way: for one episode, I guarantee you're gonna see 2 versions of a character in the same time,
multiple times.
multiple
Like
times.
Back to the Future.
Multiple
It
times.
happens all the time.
It happens.
Like Back to the Future,
but
timey
it
wimey
doesn't
kind of
follow
stuff.
Back to the Future rules, though.
Or Endgame.
It doesn't follow Back to the Future rules. It doesn't follow any of those rules.
Yeah, it follows, I guess, its own
It
rules,
has
right?
its own set of rules.
And it's very science based. Like they use a lot of different theories and stuff. Like I remember there was this one point where they brought up
It's like Mass Effect or The
What's
Expanse.
it?
The Higgs boson.
the Higgs field, the God
Yeah.
particle,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of that, right?
That's the Higgs boson.
And
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm even more in now.
bro, but that wasn't even half of it, bro.
Yeah,
that
it
wasn't
gets
even
deeper.
Yeah, it gets deeper. Should I? No.
This
Without
show is a
spoiling it.
literal rabbit's hole, and it starts at the cave.
It's multiple rabbit holes, if you really think about it.
Well, the cave is the rabbit hole that spans across time, so technically, it can be all those holes.
Yeah. And should I just? I don't
you
really
shouldn't
know how
spoil
to
it.
go into this without
Yeah,
it.
I think we've given.
Yeah, no, at this point, definitely don't spoil it. I retract my statement. Do not spoil it. Do not fall prey to the dark
Don't
side.
do it.
Don't do this to me.
But what do you think of the show? Because there's
Okay.
a point. Let's wrap this up by your thoughts on the show and your specific annoyance with the end of season 2. Somewhat,
What?
without spoiling it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna say like easy with that stuff. All right, go ahead.
So season 1 and season 2 were absolutely phenomenal. The character development, well, wow, you know what? Character development was amazing considering they have that many characters, right? And you really got to give them credit for that. The story, the world building, I guess you could say it's good, but it's very complicated. There's too many
To say the
stuff
least.
going on that you won't even be able to understand it.
I love it.
To say
And
the
then
I
you
love
have
shows
to
like that.
connect the faces to their past and future selves, depending on what time you're in. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's confusing, but if you're into sci-fi, that's definitely a show you really really want to check out, right?
After you watch The Expanse,
And
Wolfie.
after you watch The Expanse, of course.
After you watch The
'cause The
Expanse.
Expanse is obviously amazing. Yeah.
This show sounds like it's relatively
Yeah,
short.
I
though,
know. I
so
need
it's
to watch. I need to watch.
a
I
good
know.
push
I
through.
know.
Yeah.
It's only 8 episodes a season.
So
Oh,
that's
okay.
24 episodes basically. That's
about
pretty short.
about hour long episodes.
Um,
Is that the format? About hour long
Yes.
Yeah.
episodes. Okay, so that's a relatively brisk show to
Yeah.
get through.
Yeah.
All right.
and
All right.
there's this last thing about season 2. I'm not gonna go into detail about it because it's gonna completely screw up season 3 for you guys. In terms of spoilers, but I just don't like where it's going now. It's good. I like the show up until season 2, up until the end of season 2, because I
Well,
feel
I mean,
like that's
give it a
not
chance.
necessarily.
You can give it a chance and see.
You know what? It makes sense,
know, but,
especially given who the main antagonist is and why he's doing it.
I know, but I just don't like the fact that it's going into that that playing field, because it's then it gets it gets completely even more complicated, and it's just I don't feel that people can actually do it right if
But only Marvel
but
can do it right
see,
because
no, 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 no,
Marvel's
no,
the
no, 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 no,
golden
no, no.
boy of
Well,
media.
to be
I haven't
honest,
seen it, but the third
Marvel
season
can
was
be considered
apparently
that.
well received. So maybe it's
know,
best to
it
give
was
it a shot and see
100%.
where it goes. I actually love when shows throw in these crazy
I agree.
wrinkles because it's a challenge for the writers. I actually love stuff like that. I mean, they've done that in some of my favorite shows, including stuff like Attack on Titan, where they throw in these crazy twists that you don't think are going to work. And I like to see where it's going to go. I'm definitely going to check this show out, though, because me and my girlfriend have been looking for some good sci-fi since The Expanse is not on. And shows like Upload are waiting for their second season. That's like a fun little sci-fi show. So I definitely want to check it out.
That is a good show. I like that show.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely good. But
All right.
I'm pretty sure that's it for me. AJ, right? AJ?
Okay.
Do it.
So I have 3. 1 or 2 will probably be shorter than the one, but I'll start with I finished American Horror Story, at least until the new season comes out. Wow, it was really great, and I didn't expect because you have everything that interconnects and builds up to the apocalypse season. I didn't expect, because that seemed like the high point and where it would end, but it doesn't, and it goes on to go into like the 80s, and I was like, okay, this is kind of odd, but why why are we now going here instead of like the aftermath? Well, I mean, we kind of know what's going to happen because of the way the apocalypse season ended, but it was kind of weird going from that to the 80s, but despite going to the 80s, it actually was pretty cool. And especially because there's this one character that is probably now one of my favorite villains. His name is Night Stalker. He's just, oh god, that guy is
Wow.
Anyone named Night Stalker is awesome. Period. Full stop.
Yeah, and just, oh god, what they do to this guy is horrible. But he deserves it though. He deserves it. It's just some really good stuff. I'll wrap up that. I enjoyed that series a lot, and I can't wait until season what? I think it was 9 that are on Netflix, so it'll probably be season 10 that comes out next. Probably. The next thing, I have been catching up on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes.
Yes. Such a good show. So
Yes.
hilarious. So amazing.
That's
That's
Wait, where are you at?
understatement.
Where you at?
By far.
Are you
I
past
just
Stardust
broke
Breakers?
into.
Are
I
you-
just broke into Jotaro.
Oh, so that's the Stardust Breakers storyline. Jotaro
Yeah.
Kujo.
Still on the first season, man. Oh, God.
Which, by the way, as you guys know, that's the same voice actor, or Wolfie. That Jotaro voice actor is the same voice actor as Levi in Attack on Titan in English. So amazing voice
I
actor.
remember you mentioning that
Jotaro
before.
Kujo.
Yeah, you mentioned
Go
that,
ahead.
yep.
Go ahead. Yeah, I've loved this show. So go ahead, AJ. I want to hear what you think about it.
Like, so I'm not gonna get into the Jotaro part because they just introduced stands. I'm probably gonna talk more about that when I see the rest of it. But
I like the Hamon power.
basically, yeah,
The ham- the
I
ham
left
power.
off when I first left off. It was when Joseph, the son of John, or rather the grandson of Jonathan, I left off when he was initially going to track down the Nazis to get Speedwagon back.
Speedwagon. What's the name of that Nazi dude's name? That's like a hero on the show. Like,
Stroheim.
Stroheim.
And that's another thing. I did not like my I remember Hafa maybe mentioning this, or maybe it was you Jose or Eli.
Mhm.
I still can't fathom how they actually managed to make the Nazis the good guys.
Because Dio's that much worse, and those other guys are that much worse, I guess. Yeah, they made Stroheim a good guy, which is just weird.
God.
And the voice actor is amazing in English. Stroheim.
Oh, I've been watching it in dub. I mean not dub, sub. I actually can't stand watching it in dub.
Yeah,
But
really?
this is
This is the one show I can only watch in sub.
Spoken like a
Interesting.
true anime fan.
It's funny because this is one of the few shows that is touted because of how good their dub is
Yeah,
compared to
Really?
like other anime.
it's one
Yeah,
of
well,
one
I
of those
mean-
that
Huh.
hits the mark on both. You know, like Attack on
Like
Titan
it's
is another one that's
like
considered that
it's
too.
so like hardcore, over the top extravaganza
Cowboy
kind
Bebop.
of,
shows like that.
Yeah, Cowboy
Where the
Bebop
English
is
So
dub
when
is
you
probably
do
to
the
a high
rewatch,
standard.
Cowboy Bebop is probably the gold standard, but
when
For,
you
yeah,
do
this
English
the
one,
dub.
like
rewatch
from
in
reading
dub,
online,
I'll watch
Huh?
it with you guys. When you do the rewatch on dub, that's when I'll jump in and watch it.
I'm gonna rewatch on
Okay.
sub
Yes.
because I want to get to some of the stuff.
The
Actually,
sub,
yeah,
I-
the stuff on Netflix only goes as far as Stardust Crusaders, and if you go on like Crunchyroll and stuff like that, you can get into deeper and later seasons beyond that. But that's only in the sub, not in the
How many
dub.
seasons? How many seasons are
I'm
there?
watching this on Hulu. There are 2 or 3.
On Hulu.
Yes.
Should be 3, I
Yeah,
think.
3.
Because you got the
Okay.
Joseph, the Jonathan, and the Jotaro storyline arcs in that, right?
Yeah, and I think it might go further beyond that since
does.
normally an incarnation will go halfway through a season.
No,
So
it definitely does.
last season, quote unquote, was Jonathan. His story was half the season, and then the other half of the season was Joseph. So now I'm guessing season 2, half of it's going to be Jotaro, and I think the next one after this is Giorno.
Giorno? I don't know. I don't know too much about Giorno's arc, but
That's
I know
not
that he's
on. I don't think that's in the
Hulu,
English
right?
dub. So yeah, you definitely have to go into the subtitle
Oh.
for that because after you get past the
I'm
Jotaro
pretty
Kujo
sure
stuff, that's all on Crunchyroll and stuff like that. That's another couple of seasons.
Well, I
beyond that.
watched up until that first incarnation died, right?
Yes.
which was
with-
weird because I was like, how do you kill off the main character? And then I'm like, oh, now
Thanks
I
for the
understand.
spoilers.
You know?
Yeah, man. That's
So-
like
oh,
when he
sorry.
told me
Still on
about
the
Game
first
of
season.
Thrones.
Well, that's the first season.
Yeah, but I
Yeah?
don't think he's finished the first season.
Oh, okay.
That's like when you
My
told me
bad,
about
guys,
Game of
my bad.
Like I
Thrones.
said, I'm in the phone.
My
first
bad,
season.
guys.
Anyway,
You know
AJ,
I'm usually
AJ.
pretty good with this stuff. I screwed up. I
Have your
am
moments,
human.
man.
Anyway, I guess just to wrap this up, so far, I think my favorite incarnation of JoJo's is Joseph, because whenever he's beating his opponent, he always just like leads them into this like, the next thing you're gonna say is, Jojo, why did you do this? And then the guy says, Jojo, why did you do this? And then that's
Yeah.
basically like the punchline to him beating them. It's just so great.
I love how cocky he is. It's hilarious. I like he's my favorite Joestar as well. So far. Although Jotaro and Joseph are also very cool.
Yeah. My last geek out is in the mobile realm of gaming.
Mhm.
Recently released was a game, and it is called Godzilla Destruction. And so basically the premise of this game is that you're playing as Godzilla and you can unlock monsters later down the line like Mothra, King Ghidorah, you know, more of the mainstream characters. There isn't a huge roster yet, but I'm sure they'll like with updates and you know, they'll come out with more. It's interesting. So it takes elements from the Godzilla PS4 game where the more you destroy, the more you actually get to level up. And basically it's you start in like an area of Japan. Well, it starts in Japan. You can go to other continents later. You start in an area and you have to get through waves of you know, infantry, you know, like I believe they're often called the Earth Defense Force, or basically you're getting through waves of like tanks and aircraft and whatnot, and then
No Jaegers?
once you complete no, none of that, at least not yet.
I'm waiting for the crossover.
Once you get through all of the rounds, you get to the last round, which is where you get your boss. And I actually got through the first area. The first boss is the Super X. And oh my God, it is so freaking hard.
What kind of genre of gaming is
No,
is it?
not Monster X,
Okay.
the Super X. It's okay. Let me clarify here. So, starting in the Heisei era, they needed to find a new way to fight Godzilla because they didn't have the technology to make things like Mechagodzilla 2 or Mecha King Ghidorah yet. So, what's their first instinct? Let's make a ship. And so, basically, the first incarnation of the three is called the Super X. And it's basically a vehicle, an aerial vehicle that's designed to fight Godzilla and take his attacks.
Okay.
My God. Oh my God. I came this close to dying. And the sucky part about it is you level up your attributes as you win stages. Godzilla is so slow right now. So I had to dodge these like beams and missiles that were like literally a centimeter away from me, all while juggling the small amount of health I have already. It was so hard, but it was so fun too. I gotta give it that. Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's about to get me. I gotta go.
I can imagine a cartoonish
This is-
Godzilla like running in terror from laser beams, like with like wide eyes. Even though I know that's not what the game is about. I want to play this now. This sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's great. As far as the genre goes, give me 1 second. I'm gonna look this
Looking
up
at all
on
looks like a
the
top
App
town type
Store
of
really
game.
quick.
I'm looking at a quick Polygon review just to get a little more information about it, and I love how they break it down on Polygon. The draw of Godzilla destruction is incredibly simple. Well, I'll explain with 2 key points. Number 1, he big. Number 2, he smash. That sounds like a fun game to me. And it looks like top-down destruction, cool graphics. Like it's like a top-down Rampage looking game, kind of. Or like the old Godzilla game for, was it Xbox? Where you kind of like went over a top-down city and you had to fight the other monsters in the city. I can't remember what it was, but we played it a lot back in the day. Oh man. And you could like choose different monsters and fight each other or destroy the city together.
Yeah, that sounds like Godzilla Save the Earth and Godzilla Unleashed.
Yes, I think it was Save the Earth that we used to play a decent amount. All right.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
So I'm just that was really all I had to say about it. All I'm gonna say to kind of wrap it up is, if you like Godzilla, if you like wrecking cities, if you like mobile gaming, and if you like running away and clinging to your life with like 1 health bar left, this is the game for you. Download it. It's
Godzilla
on the App Store.
Never do that.
Do it. Just do it.
I just did.
There you go.
I just did. Now it's downloading my 270 megabyte file. But I want
to get that, guys. Instant download on the podcast.
Do it. All right. I guess I'll go next with my quick geek out. I'm only geeking out on one thing, but I think it's something that you guys probably know. I'm very much into. I'll preface by asking you this, and I'm going to try and channel my best Chancellor Palpatine voice while I'm doing it. Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Yasuke?
Yes, I have.
So, this is a show that's on Netflix. It just recently came out on April 29th. Very short in nature. It's a 6-episode series. The episodes are about an hour in length. And of course, you guys know my love for anything samurai. So this is something that I would naturally gravitate to anyway. But I'm intrigued because, this is a character that has shown up in other different places, not just in the show here. It's shown up obviously in anime and manga. The character has been featured in video games such as Neon, and this iteration is the main character is voiced by Lakeith Stanfield. And if you recall, Lakeith Stanfield, sorry, I apologize for not saying his name right.
Great actor.
And if you remember, shortly before the tragic news of Chadwick Boseman passing, he was set to star in a live action adaptation of the character as well. I don't know where that project is right now, but I think after watching this, I would love to see more. Now, before I get into the show itself, I feel compelled that I have to give you a history of Yasuke, the historical character. But it's interesting because the history of the character lends itself well to adaptation, because basically you only have 3 years of recorded history for the character anyway. The character was brought over to Japan by an Italian Jesuit. It's not clear if he was brought over as a slave or as a free man, but it was clear that he acted in the vein of a bodyguard for this person. And it's significant because his interaction in Japan, where he got into a fight with another samurai, was witnessed by another historical figure in Japanese lore, in Japanese history, Oda Nobunaga, who is famous for being the man that unites Japan, the first person that tried to unite Japan. And he's legendary in the fact that, you know, he brought free trade, free thinking, but he is also notorious for the amount of brutality that he used against his opponents in uniting Japan.
Sounds like a
So
Japanese Genghis Khan.
yeah,
Progressive but
in
brutal.
a sense, you know.
Mhm.
That interaction where he witnessed him fighting another samurai got Oda very interested in Yasuke, the person, to the point that he then took him on under his wing. And, you know, Yasuke served kind of like not, I wouldn't say a mentor, but somebody that, you know, Nobunaga would bounce ideas off of. And this is all shown in the first episode of this anime, including one very cringy moment where, you know, right after witnessing the fight, Nobunaga asks his servants to clean Yasuke because he believes that he's dirty, not realizing the reason that he's black is because he's black, you know. And that's something that has been recorded in history as actually happening.
I can see that.
The other piece of history, yeah, because you know what, this is, you know, Japan at the time was a very closed society.
They'd never seen a
So, you
black
know,
man before,
having
I'm sure.
strangers coming over to that land, right, exactly. So he thought, you know, Yasuke was dirty. He thought originally that was ink that he had put on his body, and that's why he had ordered his servants to try and clean him. So again, a little cringeworthy, but once you know the history of it, it kind of makes sense why they put it into the show.
Mhm.
The other piece of history, and this is kind of where you end the historical account of Yasuke as a person, is the death of Oda Nobunaga. And so in historical context, Nobunaga was betrayed by one of his generals, Mitsuhide. And rather than losing at his, you know, he chose the honorable way of seppuku, to kill himself. And now I'm going to probably mess up this term here, but traditionally, Nobunaga had actually asked Yasuke to kind of be the guy to behead him. And there's a Japanese term for that, which
To behead
unfortunately
somebody?
now I can't. Right. So the way
Mm.
seppuku is that, you know, the person who's committing it kind of draws the blade into him and kind of disembowels himself.
Yeah.
And to kind of end the suffering, he chooses another person, is usually a friend or a colleague or a warrior of the same class, to behead him at the same time. You know, that's to ease the suffering of the actual act. And so
Okay.
in traditional forms, in the traditional sense, Yasuke was the person that did it. And supposedly he took his head to try and keep it away from Mitsuhide because he did not want Mitsuhide touting the head around, claiming victory against Nobunaga.
Okay.
So these are all things that were put into the show and that was shown in the first episode. Historical accounts have no idea of what happened to Yasuke after that. There's some things that he died at the battle. There's another thing that he went on and became a samurai for someone else. And that was short-lived again because, you know, at the time there was a lot of warring factions going on, given the power void created by Nobunaga's death. So there's not a lot that you can draw from, but it's interesting because it makes it a very good character adapt, because you can kind of now take creative license to what happened afterwards. And that's what the show does, very creatively. Because, like I said, all of these things happen within the first episode, and then you have a time jump of 20 years where you now see Yasuke kind of acting as a hermit, so to speak, and you know, reliving that moment over and over again, and you see that he's agonized by it. Now, the interesting thing is that this anime, being an anime, takes this real world account and puts in fantastical concepts into it. So you have the notion of magic in this show.
Mhm.
You have the notion of demons and devils in this show. You have the notion of daimos that have mystical powers. And the last and greatest thing that it does, there are huge robots in this show that samurai
okay.
fight.
I was gonna
Okay,
say
so
it's
now
a-
they're
I was gonna
Yeah,
say it's a
you
little like
have-
Ghost of Tsushima where it dips into like demons, swordsmen that you fight, but no, robots weren't in that game. That's a little different.
you have soldier robots, and then you have these huge, ginormous, towering robots.
Kind
that-
of like Batman Ninja.
It's like a steampunk kind of
in
thing.
a very
Yeah.
very real sense. That's what it's like. That's what you get out of it. And so I'm not going to get too spoilery into it because I think Wolfie wants to watch the show.
I want to watch it too. We all want to watch it.
100% gonna watch it. Yeah.
But
Come on now.
you have 6 episodes, and the interesting thing is the first 3 episodes can also serve as an entire season right there, because the 3rd episode ends in a very real place where you can take that and make it a cliffhanger for the next season.
Okay.
And so, just like I said, not to get too spoilery, as Yasuke is kind of serving his years in solitude and self-banishment, he meets a little girl named Saki. And it's clear that Saki has powers. We don't know where the powers come from. We don't know. But we do know that she's starting to learn that she has powers. And this is where Yasuke kind of falls into the standard trope of you have one person that has to protect the child and get her to a specific place and save her from the villains and the bad guys and stuff like that. So it gets very tropey. The one thing I do appreciate is that as the show continues, you definitely do see an increase in quality, not only in the animation, but in the fight choreography and things of that nature.
Interesting.
I will say that the show is created by the animation studio Mappa, which you guys probably should know because they're the ones that created the final season of Attack on Titan.
That's interesting, actually, because from what I was watching some YouTube videos about the animation process behind some of these shows, and I can imagine that some of the animation problems, or let's not call them problems, but some of the stuff that's unfinished on Yasuke might even be as a result of the schedule that they had on Attack on Titan season, the final season, because that show also has some animation that's a little bit of a lower quality. This always happens with anime. You know, they kind of change it in the Blu-ray release and the later releases, the uncut releases. But anime is famous for having these crazy crunch schedules when it comes to animating these shows. So that probably affected the quality of both of them to a certain extent. Still great shows, but they do have some animation issues from time to time, I would imagine.
There you go. So like I said, the good thing is that it looks like it gets better as the season goes on. So at least, you know, you don't have that inconsistency where one episode is good, really, really good, and the other one, there's a dip. It seems like it builds on, you know, the quality, not only, like I said, with the animation, but the fight choreography as well. And there are some very inventive fights in the show, and especially the last one, which is very, very interesting. One thing to note also is that actress Ming-Na Wen is in this show.
She's in everything.
Nice.
She doesn't play a very meaty role, but she plays a very important character in Yasuke's life.
So she always does. She's
Yeah.
always consequential, no matter how long she's in it. She could be in it for 2 minutes, and it's like she was in the new
And it
Mulan
almost feels
for
like
30 seconds, and it was like Ming-Na Wen, so cool. Yeah,
Yeah. And it feels like it also because you see the character mostly in flashbacks, and you're going to get a lot of that during the show because even though it does time jump to 20 years, it does take advantage of flashbacks to continue telling the story, especially with Yasuke and, you know, things of that nature. Now, like I said, it does fall into tropes because there is literally called a dark army, and the character of Mitsuhide becomes the Dark General. So I will leave it at that. It is a very, very good show. There are some things
is phenomenal. I love them.
There are some things that, like I said, I have a little bit of an issue with. I don't know if maybe these fantastical elements were necessary to tell this story, but you know, I'll take it with what it is because, like I said, it's a very interesting story, and like I said, um, the first three are self-contained, but the story continues after four. So if you're intrigued by the first three episodes, you'll definitely want to get to episode 6. That's all I'll say about that.
Do we know if there's going to be more seasons of this show? Does anybody have any
As
idea?
of this point right now, I don't know, but they do set up in like little cutscenes after the end credits of episode 6. There is the implication that the story can continue.
I mean, that's probably why they did the whole,
Okay.
the angle with the fantastical element is to leave it open to a, I guess like future seasons and episodes and whatnot. Because really, once you tell the original story, what else is there?
Right, and so like I said, there is a very definitive conclusion to episode 6, but you do leave it open to the possibility of that story where it's like the Ronin, walking the countryside and things of that nature. So there is a chance that there could be a season 2, but as of right now, this recording that we have, I don't see that they've greenlighted it yet.
Yeah, there's no confirmation. This is from Netflix. First announced in November 2018. Yasuke was developed with a writing team in the United States. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. This is what should jump on. So, according to series creator LaShawn Thomas, he was inspired to learn more about Yasuke, regarded as the first foreign-born warrior of African descent in Japanese samurai history, after seeing online images from the children's book Kurosuke in 2009. After the success of his first animated series, Cannon Busters, with Japanese studios Satelight and Umeta, Thomas was approached by Netflix to create future projects. And here it says, a lead writer for the series, Nick Jones Jr., has credited works such as Samurai 7. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the part where I want to get to. I know I'm going through this fast. It says the series was developed with multiple seasons in mind, according to this here by the creator, LaShawn Thomas. That was a little bit of a long way to saying that. But let's hope we get some more seasons because I've been wanting to see this show as well.
Yeah, it's a really good concept. Like I said, and the thing about it is that Yasuke's history, you could do a ton of things because there's only 3 years of recorded history for him. So you can take the story in any way, shape, or form that you wish to take it. You have total creative license with this. So, it's away you go, So that's the thing that I was geeking out over. And 6 episodes, guys, go watch it. I mean, it's not a big investment over your time. And like I said, if you're into samurai and if you're into anime or both, this is a really good thing for you to check out.
Check it out.
Cool.
Check it out.
Is it my turn now?
I think so.
I do believe it is.
I think you get to
You're
speak.
you're not first, but definitely. Well, whatever. I don't know. Just go.
Last but not least. Right?
So this is, I'm gonna geek out over something that I feel like I've actually geeked out over before.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of a geek or nerd would I be if I'm not geeking out over the same thing over and over and over again? So I'm a fan of like kind of trying to get away sort of from like the digital world, so to speak, from like social media and so on and so forth. So I'm always trying to I have like a bunch of little hobbies, a bunch of things that have to do with like, just getting away from like social media and the internet
And
so
digital stuff, I guess. Okay.
Which is kind of ironic because one of them I can only enjoy with the internet right now. But let me ask you guys, what's your experience with Gundam shows?
I'm not
I've
experienced enough.
never seen it.
Oh my gosh, AJ, you of all people have not seen it, being a kaiju, master.
I've only heard of it in passing conversation, most notably from Uncle Hector, right?
Is he a big
Yeah,
fan?
I think that's right.
I think he was into it. He's into
Oh,
Robotech
man.
and Gundam. So
I'm kind of getting back into the whole idea with me trying to like decompress from like the days of being answering emails, social media, and the whole nine.
Mhm.
I like to try to like dedicate like an hour or so or two to like something where I am not on my phone specifically. So I kind of got back to building again. Most I think the last time that I geeked out over Gundam was when I built the my perfect grade Mark II Gundam.
I remember that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
so I pulled out some Gundams that I actually did not finish, and I am still not finished with them. It used to take me like 5 to 6 hours to finish one whole model. Now it takes me like a year and a half. Because I'll do
Wow.
like a leg and then I'll put it away and forget about it. But I've created my workspace over here where I record my podcast in my office and do everything work related. And I realize I have like this so much space on my desk now that this is like the perfect place for me to kind of turn it into a workbench. And so I pulled out my Gundams. I pulled out the master grade 1/100 scale Barbatos Lupus Rex model from Iron Blooded Orphans, and started working on it and finally got it pretty much fully built. But it also had me kind of geek out the way that I geeked out over Gundam when I was a kid, which is I would put on a episode of a Gundam series while I'm building,
Mhm.
preferably one that I've already seen, so this way it's just kind of in the background, and it just kind of transported me back to like when I was a kid building Gundams and stuff. And the show that I'm watching, rewatching, is Gundam Wing, which is the very first Gundam series that I ever saw. One of the
Mhm.
first animes that really got me into anime. I was always into Dragon Ball Z, but Gundam Wing really got me into like real life anime because I was watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, and I was watching Gundam Wing on Toonami as well. But Gundam Wing got me to seek it out on DVD, and I would, go into Chinatown and buy the actual DVDs because Cartoon Network loves to show you like 10 episodes and then start over from the first episode all over again.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I started buying. That's also how I started buying Gundams because I would go to Chinatown to get the Gundam Wing DVDs, and found my first Gundam model kit. So then built that, and so yeah, I'm rewatching Gundam Wing. And for those of you guys that don't know, Gundam Wing is pretty cool in the sense that it's like its story is dope. The story of Gundam Wing is five mobile suit pilots are sent individually to Earth on secret missions to kind of wreak havoc and kind of represent the colonies on in space. However, each pilot believes they're the only Gundam pilot. They have no idea that there's these other four Gundam pilots, and they've been
What?
sent on these secret missions
Mhm.
um, by five specific scientists that all have like very unique characteristics to themselves and personalities that are also kind of represented in the model of the Gundam, like the Gundam, the mobile suit that they created, the Gundam that they created,
Mhm.
the pilots that they chose to actually pilot the Gundams and stuff. And so it's a unique Gundam series because it's very different from all the other Gundam series. When you watch a Gundam show, typically it's newbie pilot has like special skills, gets in a Gundam, and he becomes kind of like the de facto savior of usually the Earth Federation forces against Zeon or the bad guys,
Mhm.
depending on what like era of Gundam it is. But it's all pretty much the same. You have like the one big ship that is transporting the secret weapon called Gundam, and the new type or the newbie that is piloting the Gundam. And it's basically you go through the experiences of this brand new, pilot learning how to pilot the Gundam and learning how to live military life and so on and so forth. Gundam Wing is nothing like that at all,
Hmm.
which is interesting for me because being that Gundam Wing is the
Excuse me.
first Gundam show that I've seen, I fell in love with the entire format of the show and the characters and the way that it was developed. And then when I pick up other Gundam shows and realize that it's not like Gundam Wing, I was kind of thrown off a little bit. I did eventually kind of fall in love with like the way that Gundam is created. as far as the shows go, but Gundam Wing is very, very unique compared to all the other Gundam series. Um, it's I mean, all Gundam shows are pretty much adult. They deal with adult topics. They deal with like, dealing with like battle and death and the consequences of killing in battle and so on and so forth through the pilot's eyes.
Okay.
Gundam Wing is different in the sense that all the pilots, while they're children, they have very, very mature thought processes, mature personalities, and so on and so forth. Whereas in all the other Gundam shows, they're sometimes they're children, they're teenagers, sometimes they're adults, but they're very like, I don't want to say immature, I want to say green around the gills.
Okay.
So
So like they're like mature child soldiers in the other one that you're speaking of, like well-worn child soldiers.
They're spy assassins.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
They're like for example, the main character is Hiro Yui, who is a total martial arts, spy master, the whole nine. He infiltrates the Earth Federation, the Earth, and he's just tasked with the mission of like wreaking havoc. He's not given any kind of specific orders, and do it on your own. He lands on Earth in the Gundam Wing. He checks himself into a high school, hacks into the system to create his student profile, hacks into the system to give himself all A grades,
Okay.
all tuition paid, the whole nine, just so that he can kind of blend in as a student at the school while going on these secret missions to destroy military bases, to assassinate, to all that stuff.
Okay.
Which is very, very different from like the typical Gundam show, which is I'm part of the military and this is my weapon and I'm defending my home base ship and so on and so forth. So, and Gundam Wing is like that, and each single Gundam is very, very unique, very different from each other. And so I got bit by the Gundam bug again. So I'm like building again, watching the shows all over again, and looking to invest maybe in some new models, that I'm dying to kind of build and grow the collection. That's pretty much what I've been geeking out over.
I would love to see like the last time, if you would maybe want to post some of the models you're working on, because I think
for sure. I mean, I actually want to pull out all the models that I have. I have them in storage right now, but I kind of want to put them on display, and whatnot, dust them off and clean them up and all that.
Show them off.
One honorable mention is a manga that I just picked up that I've always wanted to read, inspired by my love of model building and Gundams, and that's Spaceship Yamato. Does anybody recognize it?
No, I picked up a few mangas.
Holding it up so that people can see it.
Space
Battleship.
through our,
you know what?
I think I've heard of it.
I think
have heard
I've
of it.
seen.
I have heard of this.
Is
show,
there
yeah.
a second version to that?
I don't know, because I've never read, I've never saw the anime or anything like that. It's always been on the radar because they also have these ships you can get them as model kits. So every time I would buy a Gundam, I would see these ships and they look super cool. And I always wanted to get into it, but I've never read or seen anything. So I just, I wasn't super into it. But I recently picked it up and it's cool because it's it's in the same realm. Battleship Yamato is one singular ship, the last hope of the Earth forces against aliens in space, and it has brand new one of a kind technology that allows it to travel at light speed. So amongst other weapons to fight the aliens, and it's got a pretty young ragtag crew on the ship, and it's very similar to, like, I would say Gundam, the old school Gundam manga.
Mhm.
So if you guys are into old school manga, Robotech, and Gundam, I think Battle Space Yamato is a good place to check out. Good book to check out. So
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I've been getting into manga lately, so that'll be on the list. Next, I think, is Berserk for me. I want to read the Berserk manga.
Berserk is insane.
That's an investment.
Be
though.
ready.
I saw some of the.
Have you seen the?
I saw some of the books at the store. It's like, one volume is like hundreds of pages and like $50. So I can't wait to sink into that at some point.
Yeah.
think-
But I think the volumes are compilation. They're omnibuses. So,
Yeah, they are. But I think I don't remember how many volumes there were. I know it's still ongoing, is it not? Berserk is still being.
I'm not sure, to be
produced,
honest, but I
if I'm not
saw the
mistaken.
show. I got put onto it by a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And Berserk is absolutely insane. It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
Don't recommend it if you're not of age.
It's a
For certain themes and certain things that happen
Very
in the
maturely
show.
themed show. Very, very much.
So
My wife is
yeah.
actually all into Berserk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
The anime?
All
damn.
in. Yes.
Yeah.
We've seen the she's seen the films, the movies, the 3 movies.
Ooh, so she saw like what happens at
Oh,
the end of
yeah.
the third
Kind
one.
of broken down.
Yes.
into
Oh
yes,
my
yes.
gosh.
And we actually did start the
Original series.
no, the second series.
Well,
The things that happened
2016,
afterwards.
I think one.
The 2016 version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I haven't seen that.
It is still
So
ongoing, by the way. It's
and
started in
that one
October
is interesting.
1989. The manga.
Okay.
That new version of Berserk is interesting because a lot of fans hate the animation style. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I
hate it.
I started it. I did not like it at all, so
Yeah.
I never finished it. So
Well, I
very
think
different.
we're kind of in the same place because we did start it. We got significantly into it, but
Yeah.
I know there's a second season and we haven't gotten to that one yet. I just
Maybe
want to
it feels
show.
like you're pushing through.
Yeah, it does.
Evangelion.
I just
manga.
want to show Wolfie something. No, this is not a manga.
My man.
This is a book.
Whoa, what?
This is based on the
Wait a minute,
anime.
you're
Wait,
reading
so
that
can
left
you
to
explain
right?
what
What
it
is
is?
this?
Because they can't see. They can't see.
Yeah. So this is what I'm holding right now is Neon Genesis Evangelion Anima Volume 1. And so this is not a manga, but this is an actual book. It's
Nice.
there
That's
is
sick.
some
Illustration.
little
Some
illustrations here and there.
Cool.
This is not the adaptation of the anime. This is the saga told in an entirely different timeline.
Wait a minute. I have to ask
Really?
again. Is
We
that
just-
are you reading that left to right or right to left? Because that looks like it's
We
a
are
regular
reading it.
old American book.
It's a regular book.
American book.
That's
it's left to
weird.
right.
Interesting.
So weird.
So we just picked this up from Barnes and Noble yesterday. I
That's
got it
really
for
interesting.
the boys. We have to read it, but here's what it says. What if reluctant hero Akari Shinji had saved the world?
What?
Wait,
Oh, really?
you didn't save the world?
That's why I have
gotta
to
watch- you
say
gotta watch
you
the
need
show,
to
man.
finish the dang anime.
Just saying.
Spoilers!
Oh,
Spoilers.
crazy.
JoJo first.
Spoilers.
That's saying.
It's a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler. You really got to experience what he went through.
Yeah,
Right.
I know,
That's
but
crazy.
I'd rather not
Uh.
know any of that stuff at all.
That's
for the most
crazy.
part.
though.
I just wanted to bring this up because I know we have some Neon Genesis.
I didn't know
fans
that
here.
even existed.
Yeah, this thing. Let me see when this thing was published.
You know, I'm
because
curious actually, since we're talking about
it's
some other stuff outside of the
relatively
Geek Outs.
new.
What
You know.
what are you guys starting to get into? We don't have to talk about it, but I'll just say very quickly, because maybe we could talk about this on a future episode. I got a copy, Wolfie. I know you read this recently, of Hellstar Remina by Junji Ito. I want to check that out soon.
Yeah, that's dope.
And
Yeah.
Frankenstein by Junji Ito is something that I picked up recently as well.
That I did see.
Just,
and I do want to
just really quickly, this thing was published in 2017. So
2017.
Wow.
And I've also been watching
They love
Vinland Saga.
remaking.
It's my other thing now.
Vinland Saga.
Vinland Saga is
Vinland Saga is
amazing.
really good.
Yes.
Super dope.
What about you guys? You want to quickly tell, like, besides Geek Outs, what else you guys are kind of starting as well? I also want to say I'm also on almost on season 3 of Banshee, Walt. I know you're happy about that.
Yes, I can't wait till you finish that show, and I really want to talk to you about it because this is one of the shows that I really love as an action series fan. I believe that this is probably, if not one of the best, at least in the conversation to being one of the best action shows on TV.
Yeah,
Ever,
I'll say that it got at the beginning of season 2 it was getting a little convoluted for me for a show that really thrives on action, but now they're starting to focus it at the end of season 2 and it's getting really good. So I'll definitely give you kudos now that it's starting to get sharp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it builds, it continues to build, and it goes to some amazing places. I'm gonna go really, really quick. The thing that we're geeking out, we're actually going to be talking about it on our other podcast,
In cross-gen?
the CrossGen podcast.
Okay.
I bought the Razer Kishi controller for the specific reason to try out the iOS version of the Xbox Cloud Gaming.
Oh, cool.
We recently
Can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, we recently just got a beta invitation to try out the service on iOS, and so we're gonna talk. We haven't really gotten into it. I think AJ started messing around with it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
He did Injustice 2. He did Halo Master Chief Collection, right?
Yep. Those
And
two.
I did try out Forza Horizon 4 on it, and so it's
I love Horizon.
Yeah, it's
Is
a
it
very
smooth?
interesting thing.
I can't
Well,
wait to hear it. I'm totally into it.
I'm doing the same.
Save it for the
actually.
podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm doing
So,
the same, actually.
The Razer Kishi is a very interesting device because it's one of these things that's non-powered, it's powered by your phone, and you wrap it around your phone and you have a controller. I think AJ had a little problems with the placement of the thumb pads, right? It was a little weird for you. I thought you said that you were having a weird issue with the controller buttons and things of that nature.
No, that was concerning the lag.
Oh, okay. So we've been having problems here in our household. Yeah, Verizon Fios kind of knocked out for us. We had a truck hit a pole here and it just knocked everything out. So I
man.
don't know if that has something to do with it, but there is
They need a
some
new
lag that
controller.
we're seeing it. Yeah.
They need to
So,
use the controller you're
you
using,
know.
apparently, to drive.
Yeah, apparently. So that's kind of what we've been messing around with here, and we're gonna, after this podcast, we're gonna jump into it and give it a little bit more of a real test drive.
Anything else that we might have for a future discussion
I-
on the podcast?
I would probably save it for a future discussion.
All right. All right.
No,
All
I
right.
mean all my geek outs are pretty much like what I'm geeking out over. I don't have enough time to geek out over. Maybe I guess just Battlefield 4. I'll play like, again, I like shooters because I get to play like, 1 or 2 rounds when I have like a moment. I need a little break or I want to play like a game, but I don't have enough time to play more than like 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes of a game.
Mhm.
Which is why, Call of Duty kind of fulfills that for me. When it's not downloading and installing huge files of updates, which Battlefield seems to do Battlefield 4 seems to do really well. So maybe I guess that's pretty much it. But
Let me know when you jump on
yeah,
it, man.
my geek outs is all Gundam right now.
Are you doing it on PlayStation?
That's the
or
thing. When I
what
jump,
system?
I'm doing it on PC.
Okay, darn.
The
so
thing
I can't jump
is,
in with you.
the thing is that like I don't plan it or time it. It's a matter of like,
Oh no, I
do
know.
I have a little free time before bed? And if I have like 15, 20 minutes before bed, I'll play a couple rounds just to kind of, get it out of my system.
That's usually when I got some
So-
free time. So, what about Call of Duty? I know we had to wrap this up, but do you play it on PC as well, or do you play that on any of the consoles?
Call of Duty I play on PlayStation 4, but I
That's
also hate
crossplay,
Call of
also,
Duty right
actually,
now,
isn't
so-
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to jump on some multiplayer shooting gaming with you guys as soon as possible
Yeah,
because, like I said,
yeah.
I'm trying to get my skills back up. So we'll definitely do that very, very soon.
Well, Warzone is crossplay, so I think
Yeah,
we could
it
play
is.
together on Warzone.
It
yeah.
is. I've been
So
playing with some of my Xbox
I'll
friends.
make a date. I'll have a Warzone date with you.
Yo,
with
I'm
the
telling
crew.
you guys, bro, we still got to play Ghost of Tsushima. I'm real upset about that, but I'm gonna move on. I can't get into that right now.
I can't make the time. I can't make the time.
I know. I understand.
Anyways, I
just
think that's
miss
the
you
end of our
guys so
geek out.
much.
Yeah.
It is, I think. Did anybody else got anything that they
So-
would like to add, or do we want to wrap this up for our fans?
Well, in the future,
Yeah.
probably once I'm done with JoJo's, I'm probably going to I have 2 things waiting for me in Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either going to restart and go through Narcos or go through another show called The Sinner, which has caught my eye.
Oh, I heard about that as well. That should be interesting. So that's something maybe we'll get a geek out about that in the future. Very cool.
Yeah,
That's a
probably.
preview for you guys for some of the things that might come up in the future. But let's wrap this up. We don't want to talk about the future too much right now. We hope you guys enjoyed what we geeked out about today. We had some great stuff. We'll certainly share some more of that with you through other media throughout the week. I'll be doing some Let's Plays on our Get Geek Gaming channel, so you guys should definitely check that out at some point. We like to do them later on in the week, around Thursday or Friday, so be on the lookout for that every once in a while. Once again, our gaming channel, Get Geek Gaming, YouTube and Twitch. So you can check out clips on YouTube, you can check out Let's Plays on Twitch. Anyways, just as we said before, we want to thank any of you out there who have experienced any sound issues or artifacts while we're recording. We have been recording remotely for some time now on the podcast. So again, any feedback is appreciated. You can reach us at Instagram and on Twitter at Get Geek Podcast. And of course, as always noted, the best way to support your favorite podcast crew is to like, rate, share, and subscribe to your favorite podcast, the Get Geek Podcast. You can find us where all of your favorite podcasts are sold. So please reach out to us. Again, Get Geek Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or Get Geek Gaming on YouTube and Twitch are some of the fun ways that you guys can reach out to us. So yeah, give us some feedback. I want to thank the crew as always for making this conversation fun and awesome. And I guess nothing left to say but the sign out, I guess, right guys? So for all of our fans out there and for all the crew, you guys, please, until the next time we hear from you and speak with you, stay geeky, my friends. Geeky. Oh, geeky.